What's up, everybody? Welcome to the House of Mario, the South Australian Nintendo podcast that is backed by 120 Power Star rating. I'm your host, Drew Agnew, and the doors to episode 142 are open. This week on the show, we're going to be going over Pokemon Go Community Day news, Unreal Engine 5 is compatible with Nintendo Switch, and some thoughts on Xenoblade Chronicles from certain outlets, previews. But before all that, I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're all putting up with the circumstances the world is in at the moment. And I hope you're getting some good weather. Down here in South Australia, it's, it's coming into winter and it's very wet, very windy. I've actually had to turn down the mic gain a little bit because it's the tree outside is blowing its guts out here at the House of Mario. It's just quite crazy, quite wild. But that's quite good because I filled up the woodshed with lots of wood. It's an opportunity to turn on the fireplace and enjoy some video games. Maybe catch up on some stuff from last holiday, which I haven't got around to yet, which is a fair bit, mind you, because this time of year has come into a little bit quieter time of year where I'm not so physically tired all the time, and I can sort of put some more of my effort into video games and podcasting and some of the stuff that I enjoy, which is good. Really looking forward to it to, hopefully have a cozy winter. That's what I'd like to do. But before we get into what I've been playing, I want to remind you guys that you can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. It really does help the show out a lot. And if you leave a review, you can be featured on this very show and we'll read it out aloud and you can be a part of it, which is always fun. It's always fun to be a part of podcasts. So yeah, go over to Apple Podcasts, leave a review, help out the show, and be a part of the episode, or the week of the episode. You do the review, I guess. And it does help out a lot. This week, we were fluctuating in the video game podcasts for Australia. We were actually at number 23. Then throughout the rest of the week, we went down, just because of basically when you upload an episode, when other episodes come out, it's gonna go up and down. And we are staying in the top 100 pretty well. We're not in there at the time of recording right now, but when this episode goes up, we might go back in, we might not, I don't know. It's kind of a fluctuating thing, but it is cool to see us up there. We're sort of maintaining a position in there, which is awesome to see. So every review helps keep us in there. And if you are from the US or another country outside of Australia, I don't think we've been in the charts in another territory. I did see in Denmark. We're in the one for Denmark. So if there's any Denmark listeners out there, thank you very much. Thank you very much for keeping us up there. It's really cool. Seeing us in sort of charts in other countries, especially countries that I haven't been to. I don't know what it's like in Denmark, but I'm sure it's a very nice country. Well, it has to be a nice country. There's at least 2 people listening to us over there. I haven't seen the stats or anything, but that's a rough guess. I don't know. No idea. Any Denmark listeners, write in and tell us about your country. I don't know. But so, as far as stuff I've been playing, so I've been playing Spyro Trilogy on Nintendo Switch. A month or so ago, I bought it half price on the eShops sale, and I got it down even further with my Nintendo credits through getting accumulated through buying stuff through the Nintendo eShop. And I jumped into the first game, and I played it for about an hour, and my main takeaway is I had fun with it, but for some reason after the hour I had to turn it off. I had to switch to a different game because I was getting sort of motion sick from playing it, and that I haven't been motion sick from playing a video game for a very long time. The first time I sort of remember is when I first got my Xbox 360 and I got Call of Duty Modern Warfare 1 and I hooked it up to a non-HD TV and I was playing that way, and it was pretty much the same thing. After an hour, I'm like, all right, I've got to do something else because one, I wasn't that used to first-person games at the time. I hadn't really been used to playing them. It was mainly like third-person stuff, whether it was like GTA or Mario games or Pokemon games or like whatever. I hadn't been playing a lot of first-person games. So that was a part of it, but it was also just maybe how that TV was sort of displaying the frames and everything. So I think that's a similar thing that's happened with Spyro in my case. I was playing that on in docked mode on my computer monitors, and after a while I just felt kind of sick. I had to jump out. So I'm not sure if that that's sort of the case with the Switch port. It's just running at a lower frame rate, and that's what sort of hurt my eyes, or not. But it is a bit of a shame because it kind of makes me a bit reluctant to jump back into it. But the hour I did play, I really did enjoy it. I hadn't played Spyro in years. Spyro is a sort of a franchise I have a decent amount of love for. I never owned it myself because I didn't own a PlayStation 1. But sort of my memories of Spyro back on the PlayStation 1 was going to friends' places, and these friends, like a lot of friends my age, had a Nintendo 64, and we'd be playing Mario and Pokemon Stadium, stuff like that. But my older friends, they seemed to have a PlayStation 1, and they all had chipped PlayStation 1s, so they all had a lot of games to play. And Spyro was one where I went to, and they had a burnt copy of Spyro, and for some reason it always buggered up basically when it buggered up when I went to the second world. So every time it would freeze as I'm going through the portal to the second world. I'm like, all right, so I restart it. It never saved the progress or anything. Maybe I could have saved the progress, but it probably wouldn't have mattered anyway because I would have had to. It would have frozen when I tried to progress anyway. So that's kind of my memories of Spyro, just playing 40 minutes or so, going to the next world. It freezes. All right, cool. And just just restarting, doing it. It's kind of like Groundhog Day, just loop to loop, going again and again and again. So that's sort of my memories of Spyro. So it is cool to go back and actually play it properly with my own copy. Obviously, the remaster looks a lot nicer. Even on Switch, it does sort of have it does kind of look blurry compared to the other versions. I noticed playing it at PAX last year on the Nintendo Switch Lite. I kind of thought that maybe it was the Switch Lite if it was making it look a bit blurry. Just not playing it on a TV or the normal Switch itself. But even in docked mode, it does look a bit blurry. It doesn't have that crisp sort of nice look that the PlayStation and the Xbox One version have. But I mean, if you can get it for cheap, and it is the perfect place to sort of play Spyro just in handheld mode, maybe while watching YouTube or something like that. That's sort of how I was playing it. I can't sort of talk about how it was in handheld mode. I never actually took it out of the dock, which is kind of rare for me. Usually I'm playing it all in handheld mode rather than playing it on the dock. But yeah, pretty cool. Yeah, it's just I'll play it again. I'll report back whether it's the game itself or maybe just my eyes that made me sort of go like that. But afterwards, I jumped to Super Smash Bros. And like Super Smash Bros, it looks so crisp and so clear after playing Spyro. Just like I said, with that sort of glaze over Spyro, it just sort of made it look a bit muddy and took away the pop and crisp. You're sort of used to playing like Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild and that. Like it just has like a really nice look to a lot of these Nintendo games, which the port of Spyro didn't really have, which was a bit unfortunate. But like I said, I got it for $11, so I can't complain too much. But if you're buying this full price and you do have a PlayStation or an Xbox One, it's a bit of it's kind of a hard thing to swallow especially if you're not interested in playing it handheld. But if you got a Switch, you probably are pretty interested in playing it handheld, because that's half the reason you might get a Switch. And the other game I've been playing is Hatsune Miku Project Diva MegaMix, and this is a series I've really, really enjoyed over the years. I talked about it a couple of weeks ago when the demo first dropped and the release date got announced. And since then, I've been playing a lot. I probably put like 4 hours into it. I put a lot into it the first night. I picked it up on the weekend. And it's pretty much exactly what I wanted from this type of game. It's a little bit different to the versions I've been playing on PlayStation Vita and PlayStation Portable. I guess a bit of a brief history for the series is that it originated on on the arcade, but then it came to PlayStation's portable system. So it came to the PSP and it continued on the Vita, and then it came to PlayStation 3, PS4, and now it's branching for the first time to Nintendo Switch, the Project Diva series anyway. And for those that don't know, it is a rhythm game, and you're playing along to Vocaloid songs, which is kind of like, it's basically like J-pop, but with Vocaloid, it's I guess synthetic vocals. So people actually program these vocals in. It's not an actual singer, and it's a real popular thing in Japan. You might have seen like the concerts that they've put on with like the Vocaloid characters. Hatsune Miku is obviously the most popular one, as she is the sort of the face of this software you can buy. But as far as the actual game itself goes, you're pressing along to the beat or the vocals with the face buttons, and you're using the sticks and the back triggers as well for like some sort of different ways to interact with everything's coming on screen. It's very chaotic in the way that all these sort of actions come on the screen, as well as like the music video going on in the background. Like if you're watching this game and someone's playing on hard or extreme, you know, you'll be looking at it, go, what the hell is going on? What on earth is happening? I really enjoy the music. I heard a trailer for it like years ago, and it was enough to make me go, all right, I'm going to import the PlayStation Vita copy from Japan, because it wasn't in English at the time. It was just a Japanese only title. And I bought it and I really enjoyed it. Getting through the menus in Japanese was quite difficult, but there's like a guide, basically, like the community wrote up a guide. So it was really easy to sort of navigate the menus and that once you sort of figured out what was what. And back then there was sort of a mini game where you could like interact with the Vocaloid characters. And that this involved like setting up a room for them with furniture they liked. It's like Nintendogs. You could pat them. You could, I think you could feed them. Like it was really weird. Like it was like peak Japanese weirdness. Because I'm like, why am I patting this girl? And usually, like, I was after the platinum trophy in those games. So, and there was a lot of trophies associated with not the bit that I enjoyed, that was like the rhythm game itself, but there's a lot of trophies involved with like getting your friendship level up with all of the Vocaloid characters and buying all of the furniture, buying all of the headwear, and it kind of it made it so I never got the platinum trophy in any of the PlayStation titles, which was a bit of a shame, because it was a lot of fun going through the game and like beating all the songs on hard, getting a perfect score, like doing like those things were fun. They were a lot of fun to do, but yeah, I didn't jive too much with like pat Hatsune Miku every day to get your friendship level, and like you got to do that for like a long time. Like it's not even like a month thing. It's like a 2-month thing. And also with those games, they were my most played games on PlayStation Vita. So I really did associate this game with the PlayStation ecosystem and everything. So when I saw the game, the series was coming over to Nintendo Switch, really excited. This was like one of my top 10 favorite series. Really enjoy it, just like jumping into it when I feel like playing a rhythm game. And this does away with all of the padding of the Vocaloid characters, and it is purely just all about the rhythm game section, which is fantastic. There's heaps of costumes to collect for all of the characters, and like it is fun sort of unlocking them slowly. You just basically earn credits and then you can buy them. And what I'm doing is each song has a suggested costume to use for the actual costume they use in that music video. And if you use that costume, it actually gives you some more bonus points as such, which is really, really quite useful. So yeah, I'm just going through and playing that. And yeah, just going through all the songs. I think I've finished like 50 songs on hard, and I'm just like slowly going through them. I've beaten some harder songs, which took me like probably an hour or maybe 2 hours, just constantly trying again. And I'm quite rusty, so there's some songs where I'm like, oh, come on, I can do this, but it's just not coming to me at the moment, which is kind of annoying. But yeah, I really do suggest this game if you're into rhythm games. It's a lot of fun. It's really addictive. It is for me anyway. Like I just get the urge, like I want to play some Hatsune Miku MegaMix, so I jump into that. And like you won't like it if you don't like the music. So yeah, maybe try the demo. The demo is on the eShop at the moment, so go and give it a whirl. And I also did notice as when I was watching a Twitch stream, just seeing how many people are actually playing this game on Twitch, that you can change the symbols from the A, B, X, Y symbols of the Nintendo Switch buttons, and you can actually swap them to the sacred symbols on the PlayStation controller. So if you're used to playing these games on PlayStation, which a lot of people are, including myself, you can easily change the symbols back to what you're used to. So the X, square, triangle, and circle. So yeah, I noticed people were doing that, and if you've put like hundreds of hours into like perfecting your skills, and then like you're swapping to like completely different symbols, and because like quite often I would accidentally press B instead of X because the PlayStation also has an X button at the bottom rather than the top. So I've sort of like gotten used to it with the new Switch buttons, but that was something that did strike me at first. So yeah, definitely give it a look in if you're interested in rhythm games and you like J-pop, because J-pop music is just so catchy, and I think it's a lot of fun. I think a few of you will enjoy it if you're into sort of pop music, but if you're not into that weeb shit, as some people call it, definitely not your game. Definitely not your game. And I did say that it was number 7 on the Australian eShop for digital exclusive games. So, it's at least staying in the top 10 for that section. It's not in the top 10 section for overall, but it is good to see it at least somewhere, at least for the first 2 weeks in those charts. So that's what I've been playing. I've been playing Pokemon Go news, but we're about to jump into some Pokemon Go news in a little while. So I'll sort of wrap it into that. So without further ado, let's jump into the news.
Woohoo! Yeah! Pika, pika! Is that all?
I fight for my friends.
Yahoo!
My body is still ready.
So a few weeks ago, I talked about Reggie, and he's starting a brand new podcast called Talking Games with Reggie and Harold. And he has actually released episode 1, talking about he talks about some of his experiences at Nintendo, and he also talks about sort of what he's doing with the podcast and how he's going to help young people sort of develop skills and get out of the situations they're in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play 1 minute from episode 1 of his new podcast, and I've got a snippet here at 15 minutes and 30 seconds into the show. So I'll play that and we'll talk about it a little bit more.
Here we go!
You definitely did. So we'll fast forward a bit and ask, why did you join the New York Video Game Critics Circle?
Video games, even though I'm not employed in this industry, I guess now maybe tangentially as a board member for GameStop, but video games have been a passion for me. I played with my kids. I was a player and a fan long before I became an employee. And I was aware of the fantastic work the Circle was doing, using video games to engage with young people, to help them with their writing skills, their creative thinking skills. The fact that the work is being done largely in the Bronx, where I was born and spent the first 8 years of my life. For me, it was a fantastic opportunity to leverage my passion, leverage what I've done for almost half my life, and to use it as a way to now give back to the community through the power of gaming, through the power of what the Circle does. To me, it was just a tremendous opportunity. And oh, by the way, Harold, you did a good job twisting my arm as well.
It was a team effort.
All right, so basically what Reggie's doing is he's fundraising for the New York Game Critics Circle. So he's a part of that. And I listened to episode 1. It goes for 50 minutes. And if you're interested in listening to it, it's on SoundCloud, and there's a link in the show notes. And I really do recommend it. Like, just from a fan perspective of enjoying what Reggie does, it is really cool listening to him and Harold sort of talk about what their their passions are and being able to help these kids. And after this finished, it actually kept playing throughout different episodes on SoundCloud, and what they had kids on who are part of their program and talking about the games they're playing and everything. And I think it's just a fantastic thing they're doing, is like giving these kids an opportunity to be able to write, talk about video games, and sort of let their passion for games really drive their education and their learning. Because I know just doing this podcast, the amount of the amount of sort of confidence and being able to develop my skills just talking in front of a microphone. It sounds silly, but it really does help a lot. And these guys just giving these kids a platform to be able to talk about video games and the things they love is really, really, I think, quite powerful. But even apart from that, just having a platform where you can hear Reggie talk about some interesting sort of things you've never heard before is just really cool. So I definitely urge you guys go and give it a listen. And I thought it would just be cool to bring it up, put it in everyone's attention who listens to this show. So moving on, we got some Pokemon Go Community Day news, and this is from PokemonGoLive.com. And it says, trainers, remember voting for the featured Pokemon for February Community Day? Well, we're bringing it back with a twist. From May 23rd to May 24th, you'll be able to vote for the Pokemon you'd like featured via Twitter. The 2 Pokemon that receive the most votes will go on to be featured during the next community days, with the Pokemon with the most votes featured in June and the runner-up in July. So the Pokemon Go Community Day candidates are Squirtle, Weedle, Sandshrew, and Ghastly. And I want to go through some of the details of each Pokemon and sort of the exclusive moves you'll also be able to get with them. So Squirtle, if you evolve it into Wartortle within 2 hours of the community day, you'll get Blastoise, and it knows the fighting attack Aura Sphere. Weedle, if you evolve it into Beedrill, will know the ground type move Drill Run. Sandshrew, you'll be able to get the Kanto version and the Alolan form version. And Sandshrew will know the ghost attack Shadow Claw. And Ghastly, if you evolve it into its last form Gengar, it will know the exclusive form Shadow Punch. So basically, if you're not familiar with Pokemon Go Community Days, the Pokemon is introduced. You can catch it in mass amounts. If you evolve it, it'll learn an exclusive move for that day, which you usually can't get. And it has a much higher chance of being shiny. And at first, when I looked at this, I voted for Squirtle because I'm like, Squirtle will be a great Pokemon to have shiny. But sort of looking around the community and everything, it seems like Weedle is going to be the most popular choice. And after reading everyone's opinions, I sort of agree. So I'm going to probably vote for Weedle as well. And the reason is Weedle is the only Pokemon out of these 4 who haven't been introduced as a shiny in the game. In Pokemon Go, not all Pokemon are available as shiny. They sort of get unlocked slowly as time goes on. So Weedle is not shiny at the moment, whereas the others are. Squirtle, in fact, has been shiny many times. Not since I've been playing the game. I don't have one, but apparently it's been shiny many times, including a community day last December where it was featured among like 12 other Pokemon. That was like a mass shiny sort of a community day. And also the exclusive move Drill Run makes Beedrill a lot stronger. It can hold its own against some of the more dominant threats in the Pokemon Go Battle League as well. It's super effective against fire, steel types, and just general weaknesses Beedrill has. So sort of hearing those opinions, I'm like, all right, I'm probably going to go with Weedle. Even though like Weedle isn't the most exciting Pokemon, but I guess these others aren't either, really. Apart from Squirtle, I do have a shiny Ghastly, so I'm kind of like not too keen on getting. I don't really need another one. And also, apparently, there was like a big raid event for Gengar, and it was really easy to get shinies from that as well. So, so basically, the community has spoken, and they want Weedle. But it seems like from the Pokemon Go Twitter account that they had sort of a dummy vote. They said, if the vote was today, what would you guys vote for? And Ghastly actually won. So there's a big landslide for Ghastly. Weedle came second out of that, then Squirtle, then Sandshrew. So yeah, I think Sandshrew would be really cool because you get both forms. So you'll be able to get the Kanto version and the Alolan form. So you'll be able to potentially get shinies of both. So you'd be able to it's kind of like getting 2 different shiny Pokemon, which would be cool. But after hearing everyone's sort of opinions on the shiny Weedle, because there is no shiny Weedle at the moment. That'll be a absolutely fantastic get. Moving on with Pokemon news. So this is not Pokemon Life. This is Nintendo Life, and the article is the 5th episode of Pokemon Twilight Rings is delayed due to coronavirus outbreak. And the article reads, the following on from the drama caused by the 4th episode of Pokemon Twilight Rings for featuring the original Pokemon generation, Pokemon Dewgong, the Pokemon Company has now announced the 5th episode of the anime short series has been delayed. The official Japanese Pokemon Twitter account revealed how it was scheduled to release this month, but now will air on the 5th of June. The delay, as the headline suggests, is due to a coronavirus outbreak. There is no mention if this will impact the release date of future episodes, but if we hear anything, we'll be sure to let you know. In the meantime, you can always re-watch the last episodes of the show on Pokemon on Pokemon's YouTube channel. Don't know why I couldn't get that out. So yeah, a bit of a delay on that because of everything that's going on. It's fair enough. It's not that much of a delay. It's only a week or so it's not too much of a big deal. And I don't think, as cool as these videos are, no one's actually like itching and really bursting for these things. But just backing up, I don't think we've actually talked about this on the show, is the last episode of Twilight Rings featured Dewgong, which is an original Pokemon from Pokemon Red and Blue. And Dewgong is not actually available in Pokemon Sword and Shield. And this is kind of going on with what's happened with with the Bring Back National Dex. There are still people out there who are passionate to bring back all the Pokemon. And seeing a Pokemon that's not available in Sword and Shield in Galar really set people off. People know what my thoughts on it were. And seeing a Pokemon for like 2 seconds in a short film really doesn't really bother me at the moment. It would probably never bother me. Like, who cares? Like, Dewgong's in there. Maybe someone brought him from Kanto. I don't know. Who cares? But yeah, a bit of a delay on Pokemon Twilight Wings. So yeah, be cool to see that in a week or so on June 5th. This is from the Pokemon.com itself, and there's been a Pokemon Players Cup announced. So the article reads, the Pokemon Players Cup is an online tournament taking place from June through to August, in which players from around the world will compete to prove they're the best and win travel awards to future Pokemon International Championships. In the Pokemon Players Cup, there will be separate competitions for the Pokemon trading card game, Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield, and Pokemon Tournament DX. The Pokemon Sword and Shield competition will use the standard Pokemon Video Game Championship VGC rules. The Pokemon Players Cup is limited to Masters Division players only. Additional eligibility rules may apply. The Pokemon Players Cup will take place over several phases. Be sure to check out Pokemon TCG Players, Pokemon Sword and Shield, Players Cup, and the Pokken Tournament DX Pokemon Players Cup pages, schedule information and more. The players who come out in the top qualification stages will be eligible to compete in the final stage of the Pokemon Players Cup in August. Matches will also be broadcast on the official Pokemon Twitch and YouTube channels. Learn more information page. And so basically, to qualify for the Pokemon Cup finals, from the Pokemon Players Cup 3 competitions, the following numbers of players will be selected to compete in the finals. So for the Pokemon card trading game, 4 players from North America online qualify, 4 players from the Europe Pokemon Players Cup, 4 players from Latin America, and 3 players from Oceania. So if you're trying to get in there from the Australian side of things, there's one less person that can go, which is, I guess, kind of sucks. And like Oceania, that includes like Japan and that too. So, that's there's going to be some steep competition to get qualified for this. But also for Pokemon Sword and Shield, it's very much the same thing. And Pokemon XD as well. Pokemon XD, it's actually one person from the Oceania region, so that's pretty crazy. The prizes will be, so the Pokemon Trading Card Game Online, top 4 players will receive a travel award to a future international championship of their choosing, so it doesn't have to be necessarily next year or the year after. You can sort of choose when you're ready to go. Pokemon Sword and Shield, the top 4 players will receive a travel award for a future international championship. And it's the same for Pokken Tournament XD. And eligible TCG players who participate in the online regional online qualifiers receive a special in-game deck, box, and sleeves. So that's cool. You get free stuff if you qualify there. And if you're interested in participating, make sure you sign up in-game Pokemon Sword and Shield, and also for the Pokemon trading card game. It is interesting that this is going to be the first time a Pokemon trading card game is doing a tournament via its online client. If you're sort of into the trading card game, which I sort of want to get into it, but the problem is with the online client is it's very basic. It's handled by an external team outside a Pokemon company. They sort of just pay them to make it and keep it going. And it's only a Western thing. In Japan, they actually don't have an online client. So it's not really making the Pokemon company much money. There's no way to actually use money through the client. And you kind of think there would be like microtransactions for cards and this type of thing, but they just use physical cards and you can get codes from each pack and you put them into the game that way. There's no microtransactions through the actual client itself. And because of that, it's just a kind of like a really basic client. So it's not really that good. It hasn't been updated in the 8 years that it's been out. It came out in 2012. So there's a lot of work to be done. And them doing a whole sort of a tournament through it is it's going to be really interesting how it works out for them. I was listening to another podcast, It's Super Effective, which is a Pokemon podcast that I listen to, and Steve on that show was sort of explaining to the audience that there's a card that is just like broken in the game, like not because it's an overpowered card, but because it just the programming for it didn't work out. Instead of like, all right, we're going to fix it, they just banned it. So decks that revolve around this card just can't be practiced with or used in this tournament, which is really weird because you think it would just be fixed. And with a sort of a company as big as the Pokemon company, you'd think like they would really, if they saw like Hearthstone, just like really like push towards that model. Like online trading card games or card games in general are a huge thing. Everyone's doing it. If you go to the App Store on your iPad or your Android device, you'll see hundreds of these games. And it's kind of weird how Pokemon's just sort of like, they don't see it as a big money maker. I know they've got Pokemon Go, they've got Pokemon Masters. These games are probably making a crap load of money. Pokemon Sword and Shield obviously is setting trends for the Pokemon series at the moment. So they're making a lot of money, but I think the trading card game is something they're really overlooking at the moment, which is a shame because I really want to get into it, but I want to sit down on my iPad and just play it there, but just with their sort of really old-fashioned client, and it's just that they don't make it very accessible. And you know, I'm a massive Pokemon fan, so it should be easy for me to get into it. So there's a lot of work to be done. So it's interesting that that there is going to be a tournament held through it. But as far as Pokemon Sword and Shield, you will get the Ultra Ball Guy shirt. And all you have to do is sign up and do one battle and you'll receive the shirt. But you do have to pre-register beforehand. So make sure you do that if you're interested in participating. I'm interested in giving it a bit of a go because, like I've been saying on previous episodes, I am really excited to sort of get into the competitive Pokemon scene. But at the moment, especially with not much leeway for this tournament, I don't think I'm going to have much of a chance with what I've got at the moment. But it'll be fun regardless. I think it'd be worth jumping into. So some more Pokemon Sword and Shield news. There's been max raid battle rotations. So last week was Gmax Pikachu, and I did manage to get a shiny one through someone hosting it on a Twitch channel, so that's cool. I've got my shiny Pikachu with a light ball, and it's gonna rock the competitive scene. Probably not, but it's cool for my collection, nevertheless. So starting from May 18th, so that is now as you're listening, you can get a Gmax Eevee. And beforehand, I don't have a Gmax Eevee because I didn't have Let's Go Eevee save data on my Switch. So I didn't get the gift one from the guy at the train station when you start the game through the gift event. So now I can go and catch one, which is cool. And it's cool now because you can get they're not shiny locked, so you can get a shiny one, and you can get hidden ability ones as well. I got my hidden ability Pikachu with a lightning rod, so it draws in electric attacks in double battle, and it just does no damage. So that's really useful for a Pikachu. You can sort of use it to maybe save an ally Pokemon that has maybe electric super effective against. And also on May 25th, it rotates again and it goes to Gmax Meowth. And if you don't have a Gmax Meowth because you didn't get Sword and Shield while they were giving them out, it's really useful for making money. You can Gmax in the Pokemon League. You can use Meowth's signature attack, which I've actually forgotten what it was. Payday becomes like, I forgot what it's called, but it doubles you. It like doubles your amount of money, and if you use an amulet coin as well, which is an item that doubles your money, you can make a lot of money, and you can just use that for Pokeballs and stuff. So that's kind of like how you like grind up money in the end game. So really useful Pokemon if you're looking for that type of thing. So yeah, that kind of concludes the Pokemon news. So yeah, really looking forward to Pokemon Community Day. There's actually the Pokemon Community Day on this weekend as I'm recording. So there's going to be Seedot as the featured Pokemon, and like they're kind of doing boring Pokemon at the moment, but it makes sense because everyone's stuck inside. So Niantic don't want to do a really popular Pokemon as everyone can't really do it as it's intended. So yeah. So this is an article from My Nintendo News, and the title is, As Expected, Unreal Engine 5 Supports Nintendo Switch. And the article reads, Epic Games unveiled the impressive Unreal Engine 5 earlier this week, and it had tech enthusiasts foaming at the mouth. The company did state in the unveiling that the new engine would support a range of devices from next-gen consoles to iOS and Android. However, the Nintendo Switch wasn't explicitly stated. Eurogamer has cleared up the confusion by reporting that it will work on the Nintendo Switch, though it will be toned down somewhat. I think so. So the quote is, Unreal Engine 5 gets its first public release early in 2021, with franchise juggernaut Fortnite transitioning across from Unreal Engine 4 later on in the same year. Unlike Unreal Engine 4, however, the new iteration of the engine isn't a clean break from the past. It has the same system target as Unreal Engine 4, meaning it will run anything from most high-end PCs to old Android and iOS devices, encompassing next-generation consoles too, including Switch. Obviously, though, you can't expect the same level of fidelity as the fully fledged next-gen experience revealed today. So it is cool that we are getting Unreal Engine 5. I know it's kind of boring tech talk for a lot of people, but when they showed it off last week, it was really impressive, and it really impressed a lot of people, especially after this sort of underwhelming Xbox showcase where they showed off some games. They looked fun. They looked great. I had 4 games where I'm like, wow, I'm probably going to pick these up. It's like, unless like there's like other crazy games at the same time. I just can't fit them in. But they're pretty much from, I guess, AA publishers. So they weren't like, the Ubisoft, the EAs, like the companies that can pump a lot of money, a lot of resources into these games to make them look as best as they can. So when we saw Unreal Engine 5 running, it was just amazing. Just like the physics, the lighting, everything about it. Just the demo was amazing. And if you're into tech and you're into sort of games pushing to their maximum capacity, go and watch the interview with Jeff Keighley over on the Game Awards YouTube channel. It was really fascinating. But this did leave a lot of questions about, what's going to happen with Nintendo Switch going into the next generation? What's going to happen with these third-party games? And I got to say, like, I really, as far as third-party games, like stuff like Tomb Raider and like The Witcher and a lot of these big games, like a lot of them aren't coming to Nintendo Switch anyway. That's not why you've bought a Switch, and that's not why you're listening to this podcast. You're not going to be like getting those big games. You've probably bought a PlayStation or an Xbox or built a PC for those types of experiences. Because I know I have. Like, I bought the PlayStation 4 around launch. I upgraded to the Pro because when I sit down in front of my TV, I want the best, prettiest version, like that console or that system can run. But that's not why I have my Switch. No way. I have my Switch mainly because of the first party titles, but also because of just how convenient it fits into my life. Being able to pick it up, play it around the house, play it like at work, like play it wherever I can take it, basically. But when it comes to games like Fortnite and stuff like that, it is important that Unreal Engine is going to be supporting Nintendo Switch, because obviously with Fortnite, as I just read from the My Nintendo article, Fortnite is going to be transitioning to Unreal Engine 5, and a lot of other games are going to be using Unreal Engine 5 as well. Whether it's indie sort of developers developing some sort of more 3D based titles, especially with sort of the commission working with Unreal Engine, that they sort of waive the first $1 million in profit, and that is massive for video game developers. Because for a lot of developers, they might not even reach $1 million in sales. So if they don't have to pay for the engine, that's just all profit for them. So this is going to be absolutely unreal. Sorry, mind the pun there. But it's going to be really useful for developers going forward. And it's great to see that it's going to be running on Nintendo Switch. And hopefully when we do get a pro version of Nintendo Switch, maybe with another Tegra X chip that runs the Switch, we might get some more impressive things from the transition to Unreal Engine 5 as well. Some better performance, maybe some better frame rates, maybe some better physics and stuff like that. But obviously nothing like we saw in that demo. That demo was just amazing, and I can't wait until developers get their hands on it. And going through 2022, there's going to be some Unreal looking games coming out of it. So real cool stuff. All right, so let's move on. So Nintendo Enthusiast wrote an article, and the title is "Nintendo's set to close even more limited eShops for 3DS." So the article reads, "A few weeks ago, Nintendo announced that it will be shutting down some limited eShop markets for 3DS and Wii U in countries located in Latin America and the Caribbean. Now, one of Nintendo's distributors, Maxsoft, has announced that even more such closures, this time focusing on countries in the realm of Asia. The closures will affect... why can't I get this word out? Specifically, God, I don't know why I stumbled on that so much. 3DS users in the countries of Saudi Arabia, Singapore, Malaysia, and United Arab Emirates. I don't know why I can't say that. These eShops will be shuttered on the same day in their Latin America, Caribbean counterparts on July 31st, 2020. Just as in the first case of the other limited eShop closures, customers are being urged to re-download any software they may have deleted in the past. Also, update any existing software you have already owned on your system. Once these services are terminated, any game and update that remain not downloaded will be inaccessible. It should come as no surprise to any 3DS or Wii U owner that this is happening. Both systems have been trudging along for a good number of years now. The Wii U was discontinued in 2017, just before the Switch launched. 3DS has managed to hold on, but the end proves to be drawing ever nearer for the little handheld. So just a PSA for anyone out there who is listening in any of those countries, make sure your stuff is downloaded on both of those systems if you do want to play them in the future. And like I said, when they announced it for Latin America that stuff was going to be closed, it is worrying just going forward and having so many digital only purchases on Switch, because I know I'm not the only one. The Switch, the eShop, they sort of made it a lot more easier and more welcoming to want to download stuff. So if it's come 2030 and they're shutting down the Switch eShop, that's a big concern as well. Because unlike Microsoft has never shut down any of their, they have the original Xboxes, but you can still access all of those games through their other consoles. And PlayStation, they still have PS3, PSN going. You can still go and download all your games and buy stuff. So a bit worrying there, but just a PSA for you guys. I don't know how long these systems will hold on in maybe more successful markets for Nintendo, such as, Japan and America, Australia, maybe UK, like these, like I guess the big countries for them. We'll see how long those consoles sort of hang on to their services in those countries, because maybe they've only got like, maybe a few thousand people in each of those countries, so maybe it really wasn't worth it for them, and that's why. But regardless, download your stuff for the love of God. Back it up. Another article also from Nintendo Enthusiast. Prices of used Switch units are now $100 higher than new units in Japan. So the article reads, the global coronavirus pandemic has caused a large surge in interest surrounding the Nintendo Switch. Caught off guard by this sudden uptick in demand in a season that is typically slower, Nintendo has been having trouble trying to match that with the output of new units. This has created stock shortages in region after region, but it was Nintendo's own backyard of Japan which was the first affected by such shortages, and the situation has not been subsided. As a result, some of the folks in Japan have been taking advantage of shortages to make some extra cash by charging more for used Switch units. One report by LiveDoor shows that the prices of used flagship Switch consoles on average is now 46,000 yen over in Japan. The regular price of an entirely new Switch unit is 29,000 yen. In terms of US dollars, that's an increase of $100. Sellers are banking on some customers being desperate enough to pay that higher price for even a used Switch unit, since brand new stock is still hard to come by. Usually, price gouging like this happens with new stock, such as what was going on in the States a few weeks ago. In that case, some sellers were charging as much as $500 US for a new Switch unit, a markup of $200. The best way to combat hungry sellers like this is ignore their offers by coughing up the dough for overpriced items. It simply encourages copycat sellers. So pretty crazy that they're doing that much of a upcharge for Nintendo Switch units. But we did see that, like the article said, in America, where you go on like Facebook Marketplace and people are just like selling it for like a crazy amount. And I think people were desperate enough, especially at the time, like they got nothing to do. They see Animal Crossing, they desperately want to play it. Maybe they want to get some other games as well. So like, you know what, bugger it. I'll buy it for an extra $100, and I can see myself being in a situation where, like, if I didn't have a Switch and I held out that long and I decided to buy one then because of what was going on, I needed a bit of a boredom buster. I could see myself doing it, but I'm also a big tight ass as well, so maybe I wouldn't have. I don't know. It's sort of hard to know, but here we are. All right, so this is an article from My Nintendo News, and this is about Animal Crossing sales once again. So this is the UK charts for Animal Crossing New Horizons, and that it still holds #1 position in the UK. So the My Nintendo article reads, the latest UK video game software charts are here, and it has been quite a week in the United Kingdom for video games, as there have been no new releases. Animal Crossing New Horizons remains at #1 with a 34% drop in sales week on week. Game industry reports that physical game sales in the UK fell 9% week on week to adjust to over 200,000 games sold. Here's the GFK top 10 for the week ending on the 16th of May. So Animal Crossing has held on to #1 position. The #2 is Grand Theft Auto. Number 3 is Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Number 4 is FIFA 20. And number 5 is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Number 6 is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Number 7 is Luigi's Mansion 3. That's pretty cool. That's holding on. Number 8 is Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy. And number 9 is Red Dead Redemption 2. Number 10 is Just Dance 2020. All right. But what makes this interesting is obviously Grand Theft Auto 5. That's never going to go out of the charts until Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out and maybe puts to end some of like the sales for GTA 5. But usually Nintendo games, they usually come out to a big bang in the UK, because the UK isn't necessarily Nintendo's strongest territory. Mainly because a lot of people don't have the history with Nintendo over there. It's a lot of Sega. It's a lot of like the older consoles, and PlayStation is very dominant in the UK as well. It's been like since the PS1. So Nintendo doesn't usually have like, I guess, long tails on their games over there. Typically, maybe that's different with the Switch. But Animal Crossing holding on to number one position with Grand Theft Auto 5 and Call of Duty just firmly probably like right behind them is really impressive. I don't know how many more weeks it can stay in the number one position. It'll probably more than likely definitely stay in the top 10 for hopefully a while. Obviously, we're seeing the likes of Luigi's Mansion 3 staying in the top 10. So Animal Crossing would definitely probably have the legs to stay in the top 10 sales charts. But number one is fantastic. So this isn't necessarily just like the first week or the first month. So, all right, this is great. Then it just peters right off. We're going to see Animal Crossing probably stick around being a dominant force in the sales charts for the next, well, probably for the rest of the year. Like it's going to be interesting to see if this game can reach maybe 18 million by the end of the year. It'd be really cool to see it do that because this is a Animal Crossing's coming out party. It's a almost a 20-year-old franchise, so it deserves to get up there with the greats and some of the best-selling games of the year, which is absolutely nuts. All right, so moving on. This is an article from Nintendo Life, and the title reads: Nintendo of America files 2 new lawsuits against Switch hack resellers. And the article reads: Nintendo's legal team is at it again. Polygon reports Nintendo of America filed 2 lawsuits last Friday in an attempt to crack down on Switch hack resellers that sell software allowing users to play pirated video games. The first was filed against Tom Diltz Jr., who is believed to be the operator of the website Uberclips, and the second lawsuit is targeted at a number of anonymous defendants from multiple websites. The websites of the defendants reportedly sell products from an anonymous group of hackers known as Team, what's their name? Executor? Okay. Executor without the E, who unlawfully design and manufacture unauthorized operating system and accompany pirating tools that allow users to bypass protections in place. The sole purpose of the circumvention devices of the SX, Nintendo Switch operating system, is to hijack the Nintendo Switch by circumventing its technological measures, thereby allowing the Nintendo Switch to be used for massive intellectual property theft and infringement. Nintendo wants $2.5 grand per trafficking violation, and is also requesting a permanent injunction to put a stop to the operation of these websites once and for all. So big Nintendo putting their foot down, trying to get rid of some hacking going on, and I really haven't been paying much attention to the hacking scene. I think it was 2017 where the Switch had already been hacked through its GPU or something like that. I'm not 100% sure on how it was done. But it was a big worry because at the time Nintendo they're finally successful again, and having their games be able to be pirated, that was like a big oh no. I'm sure they were like shitting their pants. They didn't want a repeat of what was happening on the DS, where the R4 chip was really like rampant. The piracy was just massive on the DS, and I dare say they really didn't want a repeat of that. But it seems like through the sales and just through talking to people who I know with Nintendo Switches, a lot of them, either don't know or aren't interested in pirating it. They're more than happy to buy their games. I know I'm more than happy to buy my games, because if we want games like we're getting at the moment, you got to spend money. So absolutely fantastic that it's, I guess the hacking hasn't become mainstream. But what was interesting, as I said, I've been interested in watching a lot of Pokemon Let's Plays, and Trinitar Tube, he's doing a Let's Play which is a completely randomized Pokemon Sword and Shield Let's Play. So every Pokemon that comes up is completely random. It can be a legendary, it can be anything that's in the game. It can potentially pop up in a certain route. And I looked into it. I'm like, how did he do this? So I just typed in Pokemon Sword and Shield randomizer, and through a hacked OS and basically a hacked Nintendo Switch, you're able to go into the Pokemon Sword and Shield data, and you're able to do anything to it. You can hack Pokemon, you can do the randomizing thing, you can move stuff around, you can do so much with a hacked Switch and with the games. Like I'm like, oh no, like the potential for hacked Pokemon in these games, just with how open the Switch hardware is, it's like, oh no. Haven't come across it too much, but it is worrying. But I got to admit, if I upgrade my Switch to a Switch Pro, or a really tantalizing special edition comes out in the future and I upgrade my Switch, my current Switch is going to get hacked. So I can do the randomized challenge and do some different challenges with Pokemon. I'm not going to pirate games, definitely not. I'm not going to like do anything crazy, but to be able to do some of this, I guess, let's play content, I think that'll be a lot of fun to do. But no way am I going to do that on my proper Switch. So that's as far as the interest in hacking, I guess, Nintendo Switch goes for me. But as I'm going to bring up in this next article, I'll read it. This is also about sort of related to hacking. So this is all from also from Nintendo Life. And the title is Animal Crossing New Horizons Hackers Are Making Star Fragment Trees. So I actually haven't read this, so I'm going to be learning about it as I read it with you guys. So unless you're glued to Animal Crossing New Horizons pretty much 24/7, collecting a decent number of star fragments can take a fair while. One of the less common crafting materials, star fragments can only be obtained by wishing on a shooting star, and are used to craft special items such as the Star Wand, which I couldn't get because I didn't have any wishing pieces, which is annoying. That is, unless you decide to hack the game. And of course, as spotted by Animal Crossing World, a new trend has started to appear among Animal Crossing trading communities online, in which special trees holding items like star fragments, hearts, cupcakes, and more are being swapped for other rare goodies. As keen players will know, trees cannot hold such items as this in regular play. Trees in-game can hold a variety of fruit and even bells, but definitely not these rare, harder to obtain items. Animal Crossing World says that the save editor hacking is the method being used to make this a reality. And while we advise that you don't try this yourself, we've all heard of the horror stories of Nintendo banning systems being used to do things that they shouldn't. We must admit that this does not make for some lovely looking scenery. I bet this does so, because they're quite pretty. The star pieces on trees, it's quite nice. Nintendo has been actively working against hackers in Animal Crossing, actually putting out a patch to combat them before the game even officially released. At this time, it was warned that players going online with cheats active should expect bans. So this is my issue with Animal Crossing sort of in general at the moment. So before the game came out, we got the news that there was no cloud save data compatibility. We can't move our save and we can't move it up to the cloud. Why? Because Nintendo doesn't want us duplicating our items. They don't want us cheating. Cheating was pretty rampant in a New Leaf on 3DS. They didn't want it to happen again through manipulating the save data on the cloud and transferring it. It's like, okay, that makes sense. Cheaters kind of makes the game dull for other people. But that is still the case. None of that being able to use your save on another Switch or the cloud. But the amount of hacking and cheating in Animal Crossing is just unreal at the moment, both through hacking and just like at the moment, I'm just every day I go into my town, I'm doing bit by bit. But then I go online and people just have unreal looking islands because they're just traveling forward. They're traveling until they get a really rare item such as the crown. Then they duplicate that item, they sell it, they get a lot of money, they do the turnips, they got enough money to do anything. They time travel forward until they just get all the cool stuff. And they just do it all straight away. And it doesn't, it's kind of like it's a single player game. It doesn't really matter what other people are doing. It's not like, you're doing like an aim assist for Call of Duty. Like that is going to completely ruin your experience because it is a competitive game. But seeing people have like like stuff that I'm not going to get for like 2 years because I'm playing the game, which I consider the proper way. I don't consider time traveling to be legit. Like if you time travel, that's great. It doesn't affect me in any way, but apart from being envious and sort of like looking at my town and going, oh, looks like crap. But it kind of does take the fun out of it. And people just like upright just hacking the game, just putting this stuff in there. And I don't know, man. It's kind of not on. Yeah. Like what I can do is I can just like, I'm going to like ban Animal Crossing from my Twitter because I just want to look at my own stuff and progress as I go. But yeah, it's disappointing. And yeah, just all this hacking stuff, Nintendo won't get on top of it. It's not going to be something that's going to be fixed through a lawsuit or suing someone. These websites get shut down. They either start up a new website or someone else starts it up. Or yeah, it's going to be a thing that's going to be sticking around. But hopefully it doesn't ruin too many people's gameplay experiences. All right, so this is another article from Nintendo Life, and the title is Animal Crossing Director Wants to Make New Horizons the Best Game Possible. And while that sounds very obvious, I thought it would be a fun article to bring up anyway. So the article reads, we all have a favorite entry in any long-running video game series. And when it comes to Nintendo's life simulator Animal Crossing, it's likely no different. It seems like Animal Crossing New Horizons director Aya Kojuku, I'm so bad at names, I'm awful, completely understands this and makes sure to respect the memories and affection players have of the older entries. In saying this, during each development cycle of a new Animal Crossing game, the team always aims to outdo the previous entry. Koyoguku recently spoke about this in detail with the new French outlet 20 Minutes. 20 Minutes? Are you serious? Is there an outlet called 20 Minutes? 20 Minutes. What is that like? Is that the offshoot of 30 Minutes? Well, no, 60 Minutes in Australia, isn't it? 20 Minutes. It's like, oh, we're just like the condensed 60 minutes. We pump it out in 20 minutes. Boom. Here's the full translation on Twitter by the user Jmac857. And the translation is via Nintendo Everything. So quote, with each development cycle, we always want to ensure that the most recent entry is the best possible. It was the case with New Leaf and still is with New Horizons, but everyone, in particular the fans, have their favorite game in the series. I believe it's part of the charm of having long-running franchises like Animal Crossing. Players talk about the differences, the evolution from one game to another. We don't want to ruin the memories and the affection they have for the older games. We want to always keep that in mind. We actually want to keep the memories they have experienced during their lives in the different Animal Crossing games, as well as all of the events of their lives that they had traversed at the game while they were playing. New Horizons arguably offers players the most freedom yet. You start with a blank canvas and can now craft items, furniture, and public works, terraform your island, and decide who stays and who goes. And it goes on with the sales and all that stuff. So it's pretty obvious, but I thought it was nice to bring up a quote from the director, even though I cannot pronounce their name because I'm bad enough at English names, let alone Japanese names. Unless I hear it and I can repronounce it, it's all good. So let's move into some Xenoblade Chronicles news and thoughts. So this is from My Nintendo News. And a Nintendo Treehouse rep says that Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition's lip sync has been redone. So earlier this week, Roger Bass uploaded a preview of Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition and the future connected epilogue to his YouTube channel. In the preview, Rogers is joined by Rob from Nintendo Treehouse to showcase the game. According to Rob, Monolith Soft has redone the game's lip syncing. We've included Roger Bass's video if you want to go and check it out. So you can go and check out the actual discussion on Roger Bass's channel, who is a Nintendo America partner, affiliate, or whatever you want to call them. And it is nice that they have redone the lip syncing, because back on the original game it was a bit ordinary. So it's good that it might be a bit more believable, because I know if like the lip syncing isn't necessarily like synced up that well with what's actually being said, it can just take you out of the game straight away. You're just constantly thinking about the mouth, because when you're watching a character, you're looking at their eyes and their face and their mouth. That is the main part you're looking at. And if that's not believable, probably the rest of the world isn't going to be that believable either, no matter how pretty and gorgeous that game looks. But over the last week, there's been a lot of Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition previews, and a lot of big sites, small sites have been posting about it. And I want to bring up my friend Dash from dashgamer.com. He put up a preview, and I'll read the first paragraph just to give you an idea of what he thought. And quote from Dash, the Nintendo Wii's legacy holds some of the most memorable titles in not only its generation, but gaming history itself. The fact that Monolith Soft JRPG classic Xenoblade Chronicles sits comfortably next to its sequel is a testament to how timeless the franchise truly is. Only scratching the surface of its gargantuan campaign, I've already realized its impact and how it innovated an entire generation of seamless role-playing titles that came after. Remembering it as a marvel for Nintendo's best-selling console, it ranks high among the cream of the crop, and deservedly so. Xenoblade Chronicles proves to be an institution with its third rendition on the Nintendo Switch, re-releasing a near decade after its inception. So I'm going to leave a link to Dash's full preview in the show notes. Please go and have a read. I had a read through, and after reading his preview, I'm like, it's exactly what we sort of want. We want that game to be remastered in its full beauty. From the screenshots, it looks really nice. And from Dash's impressions of the game, from playing it for a few hours, it seems to be holding up to that. So it's really exciting. At the moment, game journalists and YouTube creators and that do have the game. They are playing it at the moment for review. We do not have it because we are small old House of Mario, so it is what it is. But looking forward to this game when it comes out at the end of the month. I'm looking forward to getting into it and doing a bit of content around it in the future, because it will take a while to sort of get through that game, especially for me, because I seem to be a bit slower getting through some of these games. But moving on. So this is about a Nintendo Direct that is not going to happen. So also from Nintendo Life, and the title is, "It doesn't sound like a Nintendo Direct will be happening anytime soon." And the article reads, at the end of April, VentureBeat's Jeff Grubb said there wouldn't be a Nintendo Direct taking place this June. A few days earlier, Eurogamer published a story supporting the original post. Now, Jeff has provided an update. Nintendo supposedly has no upcoming Direct presentations planned at all right now. It has apparently told development partners with big announcements to not wait around for the next broadcast. And this is a quote. Earlier this month, I reported Nintendo isn't planning a Direct for June. As an update to that, I'll add that Nintendo isn't planning a Direct at all for now. It's telling development partners not to wait for a Direct, even if they have a big announcement. End quote. In terms of upcoming first-party announcements, Jeff said that Nintendo will continue to surprise fans, as it did with the reveal of Paper Mario the Origami King last week. He expects that rumored games he previously spoken about to show up. Another quote from Jeff, and that's coming. And what's coming is Pikmin 3 Deluxe, Mario 3D remasters, and Super Mario 3D World Deluxe. End quote. He says there might be some surprises beyond this, but Nintendo may have to wait until I can start doing these directs again. Okay, gotcha. So there are going to be no directs in June. I guess when E3 would typically take place, presumably because of what's going on, moving assets around. And we saw with Xbox's event, was it a week ago or 2 weeks ago? I actually can't remember. Time's kind of going fast and slow at the same time. But they were getting assets from, I guess, third parties, bringing them getting sent to Microsoft. Microsoft, they're sort of the people were doing their videos at home through their webcams and their headsets, and presumably that's all being sent to an editor to edit all together. With Nintendo sort of all spread apart, not working at the office, working from home. Whether that's because at home they just don't have the resources, like a powerful enough computer, good internet. Maybe they don't want to go the route Microsoft went and just use headsets and that, and they can't get a hold of microphones and a decent camera. Maybe that's the case, or maybe I think more of the case would be is Nintendo is pretty secretive, so getting all of these trailers potentially leaked through maybe an email that went the wrong place, or maybe something like that. I'm not quite sure, but that might be one of the reasons why we're not seeing a direct come together, because I assume it's a big gargantuan sort of effort to get some of these things organized. But I guess going on to the Paper Mario announcement, which was really cool. It was 10:30 p.m. my time. The Origami King got announced, and I was laying in bed. I was on my phone. I was going through it. I put it down, and I actually got a message from Bryce, and he said, "Lol, what? A new Paper Mario game?" And I'm like, "What the hell are you on about?" And I go back to Twitter only like 5 minutes after I put it down, and there it was. It was everywhere. People were retweeting it. Nintendo had it right on my feed there, and really quite cool. New Paper Mario game out of nowhere, and it seems to be somewhat going back to I guess the old school Paper Mario games where I guess a lot of people and a lot of the fans were hoping the series would go back to. Not exactly what it was going back to, but almost there, I think. Hopefully it's a upward trend for the series. So this is from a press release from Nintendo Australia themselves. And just for the game, they say, are you ready for your fun to increase tenfold? Well, here's a special invitation to a colourful paper-filled world has arrived. Join Princess Peach, Mario, and Luigi in attending the Kingdom's Origami Festival when Paper Mario the Origami King launches exclusively for Nintendo Switch on the 17th of July. There's one tiny wrinkle in the festivities though. Princess Peach seems to be acting a little strange lately. To learn more about her mischievous behaviour, check out the Paper Mario Origami King arriving on July 17th. They got to pump in that 17th release date, don't they? What's this? Also, early purchasers can preload the game today from Nintendo eShops, so it's already up for pre-order. We know that. It seems as if King Ollie, who claims to be the ruler of the Origami Kingdom, has hatched a devious plot to be unleashing his plan to fold the entire kingdom. It looks pretty dangerous on paper, so someone who's a cut above the rest is needed to save the day. In Paper Mario Origami King, Mario faces one of the most thrilling challenges yet. Just when matters couldn't get worse. King Ollie has bound Princess Peach's castle in giant coloured streamers and transformed it into a distant mountain. He's even transformed Bowser's minions into fold soldiers and enlisted them in his treacherous cause. Luckily, Mario is equipped with a range of new tools at his disposal to help secure victory. His new ability called 1000 Fold Arms allows players to interact with the landscape by stretching out and pulling, peeling, and revealing new locations, helping you to solve puzzles and uncover unexpected surprises. Along the way, players will enlist the help of allies, old and new, such as King Ollie's very own good-natured sister, Olivia, along with a range of unlikely allies. Even Bowser himself hasn't yet folded to the whims of King Ollie's origami will, and Mario will accept all help he can find with open arms. Get it? So many puns in this. Very, very interesting. Paper Mario Origami King introduces a new ring-based battle system that allows players to flex their puzzle-solving skills and line up scattered enemies to maximize damage. While the enemies may be crafted from paper, these dynamic turn-based battles are far from stationary. Jesus Christ. It'll require a sharp mind to make short work of these crafty enemies. With a detail-rich world to explore, off-the-wall minigame events, and countless mysteries waiting to be solved, the next joyful Mario adventure on Nintendo Switch is ready to deliver a huge helpings of laughs. Okay, so that's basically what the press release is, and I guess jumping into the battle system. A lot of people are looking back at Paper Mario 64 and Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door on Nintendo GameCube as like the pinnacle of the series, and that's when the battle system was really prominent, and I guess people really liked those games. That is when people look back at the series and say that's when it was good. And I agree with those. I enjoyed my time with Paper Mario 64 and haven't actually played The Thousand Year Door. Actually, I think I started it, but I didn't really get into it that much. Just because I emulated it, and when I emulate stuff, I don't really have that much drive to keep going and finishing it. But people are looking at the last few titles on 3DS with Sticker Star and the painting one, which I forgot the name of, which I never played because it came out in 2016. And in 2016, I was not really into the Wii U. I was kind of over it by then. But looking at those games, they completely ripped out the turn-based battle mechanics, and they replaced the battles with using stickers or cards, and they had their own different mechanics. And now in this game, it's using its own type of mechanic. It's gone back to sort of turn-based, but it is different. It is based on sort of turning a wheel to line up enemies and having a bit more of a puzzle element rather than like timing your jumps and timing your attacks and things like that. Which, I think this new system could be quite fun. I think it looks like it at least has like the leveling up and those type of mechanics which were missing from the stickers. Like in Sticker Star, you didn't actually level up. You just like got stickers, and there was no like the progression wasn't rewarding. There was no reward in actually doing it. So if they bring back the levels at least, and I think it could be fun. But I think just looking at it apart from the battle mechanics, I think the battle mechanic for the actual puzzle gameplay will be fun. I think it would be good. Have to play it to actually experience it. And it comes out, and as the press release said like a million times, the 17th. So we only have a couple of months to wait. So that's really great. But just in the trailer, how it showed traversing the overworld itself, using Mario's thousand-fold arms to like interact with the world, to discover secrets, to discover other pathways. I think that's going to be a lot of fun just exploring the world, regardless of the battle mechanics. I think just like how open some of those worlds looked. It showed like the desert, it showed a town, and it showed Mario like lifting up to like reveal like a door on top of a barn and stuff like that. I think it's going to be a lot of fun just exploring every nook and cranny in some of these areas for the games. And if there's lots of exploration, if there's interesting side characters which follow you, which it shows that Bowser and a few other main characters do follow along, and they have interesting dialogue, and you're running into NPCs with funny, witty humor, which Paper Mario and the Mario RPG series in general have had absolutely fantastic localization from Nintendo Treehouse. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, man. I think it's going to be great. It's just that battle system is in the air for a lot of people, but I think it's going to work out okay. It might not be like a 9 out of 10. It might be a 7 or an 8 out of 10 on the Metacritic or so, or people's own opinion. But it's going to be a fun game regardless. Just on the release date as well, Ghost of Tsushima from PlayStation Studios, from Sucker Punch as well, was that game is also coming out on the 17th, which is funny because like they did like their big state of play PlayStation announcement, like finally showing gameplay for that game, even though it's only like 2 months away. Like we really didn't know much about that game from Sucker Punch, but Nintendo just comes out saying, "Hey, we got a game too. Here it is," and it's coming out the same day. It's obviously a very different type of game, but it is like I was listening to the guys on the Dash Gamer podcast last night, and they're saying like, they're very different audiences, but I don't know, man. Like I'm I'm very interested in both of those games, and now that they're coming out on the same day, I'm like, well, that's a bit annoying because like I'm probably going to play Paper Mario over Ghost of Tsushima just for the fact that, you know, I'm running a Nintendo podcast, so I'm going to have to be talking about that and experiencing that to sort of talk about it. And, you know, as far as Ghost of Tsushima goes too, I'm not aching for it necessarily. I just like keeping up with PlayStation's exclusives because they're typically fantastic, as a lot of people know. But yeah, we don't have to double on that too much. So yeah, it's really cool. And at the end of the trailer, it did show that Paper Mario was wearing a Samus helmet as well. And a lot of people are speculating like, oh, what does this mean? Does this mean a Nintendo teasing a Metroid Prime trilogy? Are they teasing Metroid Prime 4 information coming soon? Is there a new 2D Metroid game coming to Switch? Metroid. What's going on with Metroid? And as much we're not getting Metroid Prime 4 information this year. Not going to happen. I think most people know that, but in case you're holding on to any hope, not going to happen this year. They're still putting job listings out there. Coronavirus is, unfortunately going to delay that game because I think Metroid Prime 4 is at the stage of development where delays like this are really going to hurt it. It's working from home. Retro Studios based in Texas. It's not going to. It's just not an ideal situation for development of that game. A trilogy on Switch would be fantastic. I'm yet to actually experience that trilogy properly, so having that on Switch would be really great. And I think it's important that they put out a trilogy before Prime 4 as well, because like a lot of people haven't played the Metroid trilogy. That came out early 2000s. People that were born when Metroid Prime 1 came out are 18 years old now. And the GameCube sold the half amount of consoles as the Switch has at the moment. About 22 million. The Switch is now at 55 million. There are a lot of people who have not experienced Metroid. So they need to put out a trilogy before 4. So I think this year will be a great year if they've got it ready to go. But I don't think they were hinting towards a Metroid game. I think they were maybe hinting towards more Nintendo sort of characters in Paper Mario. So whether it's that Samus helmet, whether it's like a Link helmet hat, I don't know. I think there's going to be more sort of Nintendo stuff in that game, and whether that means like amiibo support, so you scan in a Samus amiibo and that Samus helmet pops up and you can scan King Dedede and a big King Dedede head you can put on Paper Mario. I don't know, but I don't think it's necessarily a hint towards another Nintendo game, but I could be wrong. And if a Metroid news does come out and there's another Metroid game coming to Switch this year, that would be awesome. I would absolutely love that very much. All right. Yeah. I've been talking for a fair while. Holy crap. Moving on to an hour and 20 minutes. If you're still with us, thank you very much. And moving on to, I guess, the last news article from Nintendo Life is that the Paper Mario Switch reveal adds more weight to a Nintendo 64, Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, and a Mario Galaxy remaster. So, as we all know, there were the reports that came out, or the rumors that came out, that there's going to be a remaster of the 3 main Mario 3D games, as well as a Paper Mario game. So now we've got the Paper Mario game. So there are some things adding up in these rumors. And I'll read from the article. So today's reveal, so this is from obviously a few days ago now, of Paper Mario the Origami King for Nintendo Switch has confirmed several things, like the fact that the Paper Mario franchise will be making its Switch debut this summer, and that we're suddenly all feeling a desperate need to quickly play through the past games of the series. But it also adds weight to those Mario Remaster rumors from earlier in the year. As you may remember, a report from VGC told us that Nintendo is planning to launch remaster releases of most of Super Mario's 35-year back catalogue this year. The report was also backed up by Eurogamer, and owing to the credibility of both sources, many are assuming the reports are to be true. For all we know, announcements for such releases might be just around the corner. However, the initial reports have also stated that several other Mario titles will be launching in 2020, including a new Paper Mario game. There's a long way to go for sure, but with the first game announcement now correctly predicted, we're even more open to the idea of the rest following suit. We could see similar announcements to today's staggering throughout the rest of the year. So, when this got announced, it does add a lot of credibility to the rumors and I guess the leaks that we are getting remasters or ports or whatever they are of these 3 Mario games. And to me, I sort of accept them now as being real, obviously with a grain of salt, but I do think these games are coming this year. It makes a lot of sense with Mario's big 35th anniversary, and it will be a massive driver for sales come Christmas time, having both, nostalgia, having Mario 3D games. It's just going to be a really impressive product, I think, to push through Christmas time. And it's also a game that, or several games that won't take as much resources, developing an Odyssey 2 or another Mario game or just any type of game. It's going to be a really exciting time when these get announced. Because I can tell you right now, if they announce a Super Mario 64 port, it's just a port, it looks a bit nicer, nothing too crazy, it's pretty much the same game. I'm going to be like, oh, cool, I'll play it, I'm going to buy it. But if they do a complete remaster of Super Mario 64 in, say, the Mario Odyssey engine, it's going to make me cry. The love I have for Super Mario 64 is huge. And when they did throwbacks to the levels in Super Mario Galaxy 2 through the throwback levels, it was so amazing going back and seeing them in nicer graphics and updated physics in that. It was just amazing. And especially now in HD, in having the whole game remastered, it's just, I cannot wait. I want Super Mario 64 especially remastered right now. Super Mario Sunshine, that's a game I spent the least time with in the series, so it's going to be great to sort of dig into that and enjoy it. And Super Mario Galaxy, that is a perfect game. It was only topped by the sequel, but my God, that Super Mario Galaxy, from the music to the presentation to the characters to everything about it, and the fact that it was originally running on Wii, is a huge testament to what Nintendo can do when they really focus on making games for their own hardware. So, man, I want it so bad. But that's pretty much all the time we got for this week's episode. So I'm going to leave it there. It's been a long episode, and man, I'm surprised I can sit here and talk for an hour and a half by myself. It's kind of weird. But going on next week, I'm hoping Bryce will be back. We'll go back to our usual shenanigans, talking about whatever the hell we talk about. Probably Nintendo for the most part, I would assume. But it will be nice to sort of get back into a more normal schedule. And I am sort of thinking about doing some more Nintendo-focused solo projects in the future, both podcasts and YouTube. So if you guys do enjoy this, because I know I do enjoy doing it by myself. I think it's a lot of fun. It's different to doing it with Bryce or a guest or a co-host. So that's why I've sort of taken, I guess, the last month or so just to be able to do this. Maybe, I guess, sharpen my skills a bit just doing solo podcasting. But I don't know if that was necessarily what people tuned into us for. They wanted the back and forth banter, or they just want the news or whatever. But I definitely appreciate you guys tuning in, whether I have a guest, whether I have a co-host, or whether I'm by myself. I really appreciate it. And hopefully you got something out of this episode and enjoyed it. So, everybody, thank you very much for listening to the House of Mario episode 142. If you'd like to follow me on Twitter, you can follow me at iDruby. You can follow the show at the House of Mario. You can also follow us on Facebook, which I never say. We're at the House of Mario on Facebook. But I don't say Facebook because Facebook kind of sucks. I go on there every now and again. And there's some Facebook groups I like being in, and I post a photo from my Instagram or something like that. But apart from that, Facebook sucks. It really does suck. So, we are there if you want. And we do have a Patreon. We're at patreon.com/RideRuby, where you can get some bonus content and stuff like that. And we're looking to be revamping that in the future, along with some other podcasts I'm launching hopefully within the next week. So stay tuned to my social media on Twitter to learn more about that. So Nintendo Jukebox this week is something I find really, really quite heartwarming. So I did find this through Nintendo Life, which I found a lot of my information through this week's episode. So shout out to Nintendo Life, My Nintendo News, Nintendo Enthusiasts. These are all great websites, and obviously Vooks.net as well from the Australian perspective. But Nintendo Life, they have an article showcasing a music video from who's it from? It's from the 8-bit big band. Who I listen to quite a lot on Spotify, and they had an article, and it says there aren't many things that can make life light, the main theme of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, any more epic, but having it played by 664 people at the same time sure comes close. The YouTube channel 8-bit Big Bang has shared a new video showing exactly that, with 664 musicians from around the world coming together to record themselves remotely for the project. I can't say it. Some words tonight are just not coming to me. Co-organizing. It's not working. I'm just going to skip it. And then editing all those recordings together sounds like an absolute nightmare. So props to the talented folks who made it happen. And this is a quote from from 8-bit Big Band. During the unfortunate events of COVID-19, I wanted to create a way for musicians and video game fans to come together virtually to work together on a piece of music we could all be proud of and celebrate our love for the great video games songbook together. So in the times we're going through now, a lot of us are stuck inside. Some might be jobless, some might be struggling. But what we do have together, at least we can tune in and still sort of interact with one another, whether it's through listening to podcasts, watching YouTube videos, jumping onto Skype, and using technology to really bring us together. And it is really such an epic way of just using technology, because I think a lot of us forget how powerful our communication devices are, and we've got our phone in our pocket all the time, but I barely use my phone for phone calls, and I think we forget that we can connect to each other on such a big level. And having 664 people come together to do Life Light together is just really heartwarming. So we're ending this week's episode with the 8-bit Big Bang. That's a mouthful to say. I got to admit, their orchestral version of Life Light. Jesus. Anyway, I think I really have to go. I'm really falling over my words. So enjoy the song, and I'll see you next week for an episode of the House of Mario. But until then, the doors are closed. And catch you later. How cool was that? Holy shit. Go and check out their video. It's on YouTube. Oh my God.